YouTube Retro Reclaimer here. Right, I got halfway through and then I sort of stopped, so I thought I'll start again because I was sort of waffling too much. But hi, hello. This is a VR video response to Eddie Rollercore, and yeah, the title of the video is well, the title of the video is a VR response, but it's 10 questions based around video games. Now, yeah, I got sort of to sort of question 7, and I was like half an hour through, and I don't want it to be that long. Plus, I got talking probably too much, and I want to stick a bit more to the point. So yeah, thanks a lot, Eddie, first for sort of nominating me to do this. It's good to see all the VRs at the moment flying around YouTube, and I think the person who started this off was a channel I weren't subscribed to, Fighter 2, somewhat Fighter 2. Yeah, I can't remember. I've literally just subscribed, so I've got to watch the original video yet. But yeah, when these VRs go around, you're interested in where it came from, and you realise that there's people sort of within the community, this retro game collecting bubble that you've not come across, which sometimes feels strange, and you think, how have I not come across this person? But this is what links people together, so it's fun and it's good to see. I sort of feel that the community, warm spirit in the community, which is always good. So yeah, I've watched Eddie's, Steve's, and I've watched Tooties. So yeah, I've got a few more to watch. So we'll catch up with those. But yeah, I figured let's just crack on and do my response. So yeah, 10 questions based around video games, and they're all questions which are very open to sort of discussions and stuff like that, and it's difficult to answer them without considering this, that, and the other. But I'll try my best to keep sort of on the straight and narrow with these answers. So, what type of games do you like to play? Easy, all games. I'd play this, that, and everything. The games I enjoy the most are role playing games. The games where you can really get engrossed into a story or a character. You make decisions and stuff. You become this character. That the character is almost based on you. There's usually very little dialogue, if any. Uh, Usually no name, sometimes like a last name or a status or a nickname of some sort. You can be a man or a woman. Again, controversial point which I've brought up on sort of chats before, but I always like to be a man. When I play games, I always like to consider myself that person. I jump into that body and be that person. With role playing games, I generally create a character resembling myself, uh, but they're usually a bit braver, a bit tougher, a bit got more muscles. I'll always chuck that on there, but it's sort of I generally like to become that character. I struggled, for example, with I'm already going off on a tangent, but I struggled, for example, with Witcher 3, probably because it's the third installment in this series, but also because it's a big open world RPG and you're this sort of Geralt guy, and I didn't want to be him. I wanted to be my own person. So, in fact, I'm currently playing Oblivion at the moment. Big open world role playing game where you create your character. You can be an elf, you can be a cat, you can be a lizard, you can be a human. Fight with swords, cleavers, maces, or be a magician, be a silent assassin or an archer. I love all that stuff. I love the customization, the choice making, the ability to play the game in an order that you want to do. So yeah, they're what I enjoy the most. Having said that, they do come with sort of fatigue, like as in like gaming fatigue. Usually about 30 to 40 hours. I then get bored of that game or that playthrough, or I stop playing, or I've finished it hopefully, and then I tend to want some fast-paced action, so first-person shooters or races or fighters, anything sort of different. But yeah, I like all sort of games, but that's got to be my favourite. Question 2, let's see, 5 minutes, that's not too bad. How much time on average do you spend playing video games? Too much. I go through phases. It's sort of, I've got a lot of different hobbies, and touching on what Tootie said, sort of jack of all trades, master of none. I feel like I should have that title whenever I give my name to someone. But I like to get involved with a lot of different stuff, and if something crosses my head and I think, yeah, I'd like to give that a go, I'll just get stuck in and give it a go. But gaming is always, it's like my anchor. Gaming is always the one thing I always come back to, and you know, if I ever have a week off or a couple of weeks off or focus on something else, I always come back to this. So generally, yeah, I'll go days without playing. I'll go days where I'll have an hour or so, and I'll have days where I'll sit on it for 8 hours non-stop. I'd say on average, just quickly summarising, it's probably sort of 2 to 3 hours a day within a normal week, which I think is quite a bit. So yeah, I do play a lot of games, both modern and retro. Question 3, do you think video games can be educational? So I went on this for too long last time. It could have almost been a separate video, but yes, I do. But not just, so academically, you've got the reading, whilst you're reading, whether it's subtitles or choices that you're making, or just Animal Crossing sort of, but you've got to read everything. Pokemon, a lot of reading. So if there's no voice overs, you read a lot. If there is voiceovers and there's subtitles, then you tend to get a better sort of, you hit that sort of auditory as well as visual style of learning. And yes, you'll see a word pop up a couple of times. You've got a story and some form of context to put it in, and someone saying it. You've got all the sort of elements needed for learning. So you can't, I don't think you could ever argue that they can't be educational. Some games are clearly more educational than others, but whilst they might not be academically educational, they can be educational in sort of a, in sort of a, in terms of sort of society and behaviour, what's right, what's wrong, and then also lessons. What better way to learn something than from stories? I think the Bible is mainly stories, and it's all learning. The You watch a film, or most of us will relate experience to something we've done in the past, and it comes with a story. Well, let me tell you how I think you should deal with this, because I've had something similar in the past where I've blah blah blah, and you do learn a lot from stories themselves. When it comes to video games, you can historical events or geography, you know, different locations. You pick up a lot of you know, real world knowledge from those. Great example is Age of Empires 2. It's not a game you'll get typically, you know, younger children playing today, who I'm presuming, when we talk education, we're always thinking of younger age. But yeah, there's a lot of historical information on there. If you're the Britons, you will have a special unit that are longbowmen, which is accurate to history. If you are the Vikings, you'll have different units based on the Vikings. So you have these berserkers with axes that, you know, the units look different. You've got better fleet, for example. You've got different type of ships. So just, and then obviously through that as well, sticking to the same game, you've got campaigns where you follow the story of Genghis Khan or Saladin or William Wallace, and whilst, yeah, you're just playing a video game, you're learning historical events that uh, that happened. This Downer's written record, but more than anything, you can. I think it it puts that interest on something. So you'll become interested in something in particular and think I'll go away and do extra research. That's certainly what I do anyway. But yeah, something a bit controversial. I don't think I'll get a lot of people agreeing with me, but I think it's Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. And I'm picking this because of how controversial the scene was, but there's a part of the game where it warns you, do you want to play this or not, sort of thing. It's bad. And you play as a terrorist going through a mall shooting civilians. And yeah, whilst I could understand a lot of people not wanting the kids to play that sort of thing, um, I believe there's some form of education there with regards to the real world and events that can happen. And you think when that game came out and that occurred, we were well aware of terrorist events and stuff, but you think of recent years, the last sort of 5 years, we had that, we had a lot of that around the world, a global problem which we still have today. Um, so yeah, I think it's educational in terms of academics, history, geography, but also society and real world environment. 100%. Anyone who says they're not ain't got a clue. Anyone who says they're not educational don't play video games. Question 4. Let's see. Yeah, 11 minutes. I was like 25 minutes in at this point, so yeah, I had to restart. What don't you like about video games? What don't I like? So yeah, I've had a lot of time to think about this when I was hearing other people's questions, and obviously I've been through this. This is something I was thinking of, like, what don't I like about them? You tend not to think what you don't like about something, but yeah, something I've come to learn is I don't like online connections when it comes to gaming, which sounds insane, especially because when I was, I don't know, between the age of 15 and 18, I didn't have online connection. We didn't have the internet. There's no sob story, but I had an Xbox, but I didn't have internet connection, so I couldn't play online. And I remember asking my mum, like, "How? Look, I really want it. What? How can I get on?" And any opportunity I got to go to someone's house, um, I'm just thinking they've got internet. I'll take my Xbox. They've got internet. Boof. That's all. That was all my thoughts. So particularly if I went to my dad's house, whereas yeah, these days I hate it. I hate the internet. I love. Don't get me wrong. I love that you can sit there and play a game with people across from the world, but that's not really a big issue anymore. At once upon a time, that was like amazing that that's achievable, but there's people across the world who watch this video of me just talking shit. Like it's like connectivity in terms of the world now is just everyone's got a phone in their pocket that you can just press a couple of, well, you don't even press buttons, you just look at your screen or say something and you're talking to someone in a different country. I feel like the magic of that has sort of dissipated. But what comes with it is this reliancy of constant updates, or whether you're buying digital or physical, you're relying on installation of this game. And again, it's not, there's just a code on the disc, so you're not installing data from a disc to your hard drive or your solid state. What you're doing is you're telling the internet that, yep, thumbs up, give them a copy, and then you're downloading it from the internet. It downloads and you've been waiting like an hour or so, and you're like, right, brilliant, yes, I can't wait to play this game. Imagine the state we're all going to be in when GTA 6 comes out and the whole world is waiting to download this game and all the servers are crashing again, and then it finally downloads. You've booked the day off work, you've been waiting 8 hours for this download, and then it tells you, oh, there's day one update, and you need to make some memory, so you need to delete some other games that you want to play, make memory for it, so you're waiting ages and ages again. And then when you try and play online, the servers are going to be... It's very unlikely that GTA 6 will ship with sort of the online mode, to be honest. But whenever it comes through, again, there'll be backlash like there was last time. There's just too many people. There's too much demand for something like that. But sticking away from the sort of high demand stuff, the amount of times that you're waiting around, so forget the downloads, the updates and glitches and stuff like that, Xbox Live servers down, forget all that, but think more so just how often are you waiting in a lobby for the numbers to stack up, or someone leaves, someone goes, or you're in a game and there's you, your friend, the rest of your team, and then you start fighting, and then before you know it, the rest of your team's left you, so you're on Halo Infinite on 4v4, but there's 2v4, and it's almost impossible to win. The amount of times where I get frustrated with little things like that, going back to Age of Empires, I'll wait for my mates to come 10, 15 minutes. We're all adults, we've got other responsibilities. You need to go to the toilet, make a drink, someone knocks on the door, and you can't just stop what you're doing. Again, I'm not going to go crazy. I think you probably understand what I'm trying to say, but if you're online, you become separated from your surroundings, because you have to. You can't just pause the game when the dog wants to go out, when someone's asking you a question, when your phone rings, or when the postman comes to the door. Yeah, I hate it. Obviously, I enjoy and have a good time, but this, again, I can play this, pause it if should someone require my attention, and go, and then come back to it. I hate this constantly online. I'd love for the next generation to be like, yeah, we decided we don't want to, do online, which is never going to happen, but I'd love that. But yeah, that's what I hate more than anything. So I think that's probably different than anyone else. Value always comes into play, but yeah, I don't think value is such an issue. This cost me like £2.50, and I can have hours of fun. So it depends what you spend your money on. Right, 17 minutes. Where are we? How much do you spend on video games? Right, yeah. So what don't you like? How much do you spend on video games? Yes, how much do I spend on video games? Probably too much, because there's so many of them. But equally, everyone's got their own sort of... I don't want to... In fact, yeah, I'll sort of be honest. I sort of give myself... everyone's got their own sort of income and what's disposable to them for hobbies, this, that and the other. But for me, similar to sort of Tootie, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't take drugs, I don't have a gym membership, I don't have sort of really expensive hobbies elsewhere. I do other stuff, but nothing that really costs a great deal of money. I don't constantly put out money to this, that, or the other. I'm a bit tight. I don't buy new clothes. I bought this for holiday, and this I generally don't buy name stuff. But it weren't expensive. The clothes that I'm wearing, I'm in a Nike tracksuit. I've never bought anything sort of from Nike myself before. This is a gift my wife bought me. And I don't tend to buy new clothes, trainers or anything like that, which obviously are really expensive. I don't even get my hair cut. What I tend to do is just, I like to be cheap. I don't have a Mercedes Benz or a BMW. But when I can, I'm sort of restrictive with money. But when I can spend money, I can spend money on games quite easily. I think if I wasn't in a relationship or had a child, I'd probably spend it all on games, I'd imagine. But yeah, I sort of give myself sort of £100 limit a month, which could be a lot or very little to some. It's not an exact rule. More often than not, 11 months out of 12, I'll stay under that limit, heavily under. Every now and then, I get sort of an itch for a big purchase and I'll buy it. And again, usually that's no more than 150 quid. When you think of gaming, there's stuff out there which is ridiculous money. But yeah, I don't spend a lot at all. I'd say on average, I probably spend about 60, 70 quid a month on average on video games. Which, when you put it that way, is too much. But yeah, I don't feel like it's my anchor. It's the one thing I do. But yeah, I feel like it's reasonable. What is your favourite games console? We're not skipping one, have we? How much you spent? Yeah. What is your favourite games console? I think with this, it's hard. It's hard because realistically, the more modern consoles are better because they tend to have that backwards compatibility. They can do simple things like connect to modern TVs. They run faster. They graphically upscale stuff. So it's hard to argue with sort of modern stuff. But for me, my favourite games console has got to be the Xbox 360. Reasons why are the library. A huge library of HD games that are well made. They have. There's so much. I feel like it was the golden generation. I know other people will argue, but for me, the playability of them, in terms of how old they are, 20-year-old games. This is just approaching 20 years old, and yeah, it's not graphically incredible, but it's mechanically, well, not always, so don't get me wrong, there's glitches, but I think that balance between game mechanics, fun, graphic capabilities, it's the sweet spot. Nowadays, graphically, games look incredible, they look amazing, but I feel like there's almost too much detail in them. That it puts a strain on my eyes and I can't focus on certain things. Some people like that, some people won't. But yeah, the sort of the amount of storage they take up on a device. I just think the 360 is just, in terms of like the size of the console, sticking with a slim, the library, the controller, the fact that it can still hook up to modern TVs. Yeah, I think it's a great console, and I love collecting for it at the moment. I know there's a lot in the community who aren't so much bothered about the 360, but I still have nostalgia with the 360. So the 360 come out in, is it 2005, 6? I was like 12, 92, so I'd have been like 13 years old, 14. So my teenage years, the 360 was sort of dominant. PS3 I had a little experience with, but the 360 was what I thought was incredible. The user interface, particularly that old Blades dashboard, the stuff that the 360 brought with online. I know I said I hated online, but at the time it was new and we wasn't quite connected that way as we are now with smartphones. And we had the smartphones, rings, watches. Stick the chip in us, just stick it in us, get it over and done with. We all will have it anyway. But it was just a brilliant console. For me and a lot of people, it was a first experience of online gaming. Those lobbies, those post lobbies, pre lobbies, where everyone could talk to each other, your gamer tag, gamer score, just everything about it was just, yeah, I thought it was incredible. When you go back to sort of nostalgia, don't get me wrong, that I've got nostalgia for this, but the Dreamcast is sort of, that takes me to the younger version of me, and just it feels like a lot further behind in the timeline sort of thing. It's the most, I have the most fun sort of owning that. I feel more attached to the Dreamcast than the others, but I very rarely play it. So yeah, it has to be the 360. Whereas modern games consoles, I just lack the interest. I still play a lot of modern. I've got Xbox Series X, play it quite often, but I play old games. Play it, if I jump on my Xbox Series X and play an Age of Empires 2, which came out before the 360 was a thing. So yeah, Xbox 360, 100%. What's your favourite games console? 7. How are we doing? 25 minutes. What is your favourite video game? Easy. People probably know this. Mass Effect. And it's hard to just say Mass Effect and not include Mass Effect 2 and 3 because they're a continuation. To play the second or the third without playing the ones that came before it, it's very difficult, and I'd never ever recommend it because all the choices that you make branch across to the following games. Your character that you create, design, and he branches off to the next games and so on. I've done a video, a highly edited. I say highly edited. I've never put as much sort of effort into making a video before than I have for this Mass Effect video. Sadly, it didn't get many views, but it was nice experiencing that sort of style of editing. I don't think it's for me. I enjoyed it at the time, but so much effort goes into doing that. But yeah, I'd discuss in length why that's my favourite video game. So I'll not go into crazy detail, but yeah, it's a role playing game where you get to design your character, pick boy, a girl, and it's a big thing. Again, that's something I've brought up before in like group chats and stuff, and it can be sort of controversial and offending, but I don't want to play as a woman. I want to play as a bloke because I like to design this character. I like to pretend it's me, but a better version of me. So they're a little bit taller, a bit musclier. I like to make it more, make it resemble myself in some way. And yeah, you feel more attached when I play a game. I become really engrossed in it. I become that character, and I struggle to do that more with a girl. But obviously, in this game, you get to pick whether you want to who you want to be. You can do it gives that replayability where you can do a girl play through or be a bad guy or so many decisions to make. It's everything that I'd sort of certainly at that point wanted in a game. It was there. And having said that, I bought that game. I remember the first time I bought it. It's a little bit of story. I'll not go crazy, but I went into it called Game Exchange, local shop. They branched out a few up north, and then I think they sold off to Game or whatever. But yeah, I went in and they used to have this offer on 2 for 40 quid, and it was often that I'd go in and I'd buy 2 games for 40 quid. Usually you get some good games. And I bought Mass Effect and Lost Odyssey, and that was the first time I've got 2 RPGs. First time I saw it, so I started playing it. Thought, yeah, this is really good. Got so far and a little overwhelmed because it's a complete new world. There's a lot of characters, the story, there's the force, if you will, that you've got. So you've got sort of, I can't remember what it's called. You got powers. You can choose to have them, choose not to have them, and yeah, there's just so much involved with that story that it can be overwhelming. And I remember I traded in, and then I bought it again, got rid of it, and then I bought it again, and I really got hooked in. When I started playing it, and I put so many hours into it, and it's a game I always come back to. But yeah, Mass Effect 1 in particular, but I can't mention that without mentioning the second and the third, and equally I can't mention it without mentioning Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, which was sort of a precursor to Mass Effect. Fantastic games. But yeah, Mass Effect 1. What is your favourite video game movie? So yeah, I had time to think about this one because when other people were giving their responses, I think people were struggling. This is one people struggle with because generally they don't do too well. And I think it's sort of difficult. I think it's easy to forget that Pokemon was a game before it was an anime, before it was a movie. Uh, I think there's 20, 30 movies or so. There's an anime which it's got a record for the longest running anime, based off a video game or it might just be the longest running anime, but it's record breaking anyway. So it's easy to forget that Pokemon was a game before the movie. Um, and yeah, Pokemon the first movie I watched over and over again as a kid. I've got it now on VHS, and I've watched this like last year as an adult on a little box TV, not much bigger than my phone. But yeah, I love it. I watch it, and I honestly don't get bored of watching it. I think it's great. I think there's a good story, and I think in terms of video game and movie crossovers, it's one that's been done by far the best. Obviously, it's a series first, so that the movie's based on the series, but yeah, it's just phenomenal. Really, really good. I love the whole story about it. The only thing is obviously you got Ash, who doesn't actually catch them all. He's always an underdog. He's always a bit behind, but I think people can sort of resonate with that, if you will. But yeah, 100%. That's got to be my favorite video game movie. I think beyond that, I'd struggle. It'd probably be Resident Evil. And again, I know the first one doesn't really. It's got different characters. It doesn't quite cross over the same way with the thing is when we come it comes with this expectancy of certain characters to look a certain way and act a certain way, and the story to be this and that and the other, but it's difficult to try and produce that with whilst also giving a different story version sort of thing. So I think anyone who develops a movie based off a video game is already in for a tough goal. Question 9, two more to go. Who is your favourite video game character? Again, this can be a struggle because you can pick sort of like the Master Chief, but you can also argue that he's not really a character, he's just a vessel that you're supposed to be. But yeah, I'd probably pick Arthur Morgan from Red Dead 2. Yeah, he's sort of, for that style of game, he is a character that you can really sort of follow. And I remember playing that game, spoiler alert for anyone, but I remember playing that game and thinking, oh, you just, I'm an outlaw who's got a bit of respect for the gang, but yeah, ultimately I'm an outlaw. And then as you play through the story, there's this shift in change. There's this sort of realization, spoiler alert, where Arthur Morgan realizes he's dying, and he thinks about everything he's done and the wrongs he's done, and he starts to go on this sort of redemption of making things right, and it was just so powerful. So I mean, I mentioned earlier my favourite video game, but this Red Dead 2 is hands down the greatest video game ever created. The story was just phenomenal, and you can't talk about it without talking about the music scores, the sound effects, the backdrops, everything about it. But that character, really, whilst there was so much greatness in the game through physics, mechanics, graphics, the character was the strongest character I've seen in any video game, really. But yeah, it's by far my favourite. It's just a shame that he died. Spoiler alert. Right, final question. What is your favourite, what is your least favourite type of game? Now I'm going to get absolutely stoned by you lot for saying this, but my least favourite type of game is shoot 'em ups. Boring. Absolutely bore me to death. There's one, I don't know the name of it, and there's probably loads of games that do the exact same thing, but you're playing, it's horizontal, you can just go up and down, back and forward a bit, and you're just constantly shooting. You don't take you don't take your finger off that button, but every now and then there's little circle things that you collect, and it upgrades your guns. So then you're shooting more, then you're getting missiles. And so I don't know what it is, and there's probably all sorts of shooters that do that. But yeah, there's one in particular that I was really enjoying, and it was like, oh, what's the next upgrade? What's the next upgrade? But yeah, I just find it really boring. I've tried to watch people on YouTube pick up these games and give them a go. So Twinbee, who did I watch playing Twinbee? I watched someone playing. It might have been Dad and Lads. Who this Retro Red Steve plays a lot of shoot 'em ups. What else have I watched? But I've watched a few, and I try and watch them and think, right, these are obviously good, but if I try and play it myself, I just think I'm just fucking tapping a button, spamming it, and I'm just moving, trying to dodge these little dots, which are bullets, and not hit anything. Yeah, it's just not it's just not for me. Yeah, they're not my type of game. And there we are, we're done. So yeah, now comes the part of tagging. So yeah, I've messaged this guy. So again, appreciate it, Eddie. Appreciate everyone else who's got involved. Looking forward to seeing the other responses. But yeah, I'll pick. Yeah, I messaged this guy, and I don't know whether he'll jump on board or not. It's not his typical style of videos to do, but I'm tagging him anyway. And it's the Dreamcast collector, but he's recently changed his name as well, because he's collecting beyond the Dreamcast because he completed the set. So yeah, I'm gonna tag you, which you already know because I've messaged you, and who else can I tag? I want to tag Matman. I don't know if he's already been tagged already. Again, I have to check these other videos. Yeah, Matman, I'm going to tag you to do this one. And I don't know if we've got to tag a certain amount of people. Everyone's going to end up doing them anyway. But yeah, they're the two people I'm going to tag. So yeah, look, I'll obviously put links into Eddie's and to anyone else's that I know. There's probably more. But yeah, it's good for this link. It links everyone together. It's crazy to think of these channels that I've not been watching. I mean, you always get to a point with YouTube where your subscriptions build up, and you don't have time to watch everyone or every video or every part of the video or whatever. But yeah, it's good to see that there's others out there which I'm not linked to just yet. But yeah, appreciate it. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you in the next video, and look forward to your responses. Bye bye.